Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Almonte, and I am the Associate Director of College Counseling at the Berkeley Carroll School, and I will be moderating this evening's Education Beyond Borders virtual panel. Thank you for joining us on behalf of the Berkeley Carroll School, Brooklyn Friends School, Patrick Collegiate Institute, and St. Anne's School. We're joined by students and families from all four of our respective schools, and we want to give a very special thanks to our panelists from Brunel University London, NYU Abu Dhabi and Shanghai, Queen's University Canada, Trinity College Dublin, and the University of St. Andrews. We appreciate your time and the willingness of our panelists to share insights. And tonight we aim to provide information about applying to and attending college abroad, offering a valuable perspective for your college search. Our goal today is that wherever you and your family are in preparing for the college search process, that you'll come away with a newfound or strengthened understanding of what it means to apply to and attend college abroad at these particular institutions. The agenda for tonight includes introductions by each panelist. Following that would be an overview of their respective institutions. So they'll be giving about a 5-minute presentation so that you can understand their institution a bit more in depth, followed by a discussion on applying to and attending college abroad. So I will start by asking a couple questions. And then finally, we'll open up questions to be available for the audience members to ask. So feel free to use the question and answer portion of this webinar. And feel free to ask questions throughout the program, and we'll try our best to get to them before we conclude for tonight. So I will get started with panel introductions. So I call your first name, if you could please turn on your camera and just introduce yourself and let us know what institution you'll be representing tonight. So we'll start with Haroon.
Hi, everyone. It's lovely to meet you virtually. My name is Haroon, and I'll be representing Brunel University London today.
Thank you very much. Next, if we could have Ayam introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ayham. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions at NYU Shanghai, but I also graduated from NYU Abu Dhabi, and I'm happy to provide more insight about both institutions today.
Next, if we could have Andre.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andre Degani. I'm the recruitment representative from Queen's University for the USA, and I look forward to connecting with you all later this evening.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Diana, if you could go next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diana Yarudo, and I'm here representing Trinity College Dublin. I am based in Tampa, Florida, and I am excited to meet you all.
Perfect. And then finally, Ivar.
Yeah, thanks very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Ivar Muller. I'm the Deputy Director of Admissions at the University of St Andrews in Scotland in the UK. So lovely to be with you this evening. Thanks very much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we'll get started with our presentation overviews for each school. So we'll hand it over to Haroon from Brunel University to do an overview of his institution.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Louise. I'm just going to quickly share my screen, and then I'll go over a brief presentation.
Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Hello, everyone. Once again, thank you very much for joining. It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here. What I'll do to start with is I'll give a very brief overview of the university, just so you can see some of the key features, where we're based, our strengths, and what kind of university it is. And then, of course, if you have any more detailed questions or you need anything quite specific, please feel free to ask any questions. And we're here to give as much advice and information as we can give today. So as I mentioned, I'm from Brunel University, London. I'm actually an alumni of Brunel, graduated from there many years ago, and I now work in our international office. So to speak a little bit about Brunel, the name, sometimes people think it's named as after a city or a town. It's actually named after a very famous engineer here in the UK, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. So we initially as a university started focusing on engineering and technology, and it's now progressed into covering so many different areas. But it's where we got our start from, and that's his statue on our campus. So Brunel University, in terms of its overall ranking, is ranked in the top 350 in the world, 40 in the UK. We are a very diverse and international university. We're the 4th in the world for international outlook and joint first in the UK. So we have a really diverse background with students from over 150 different countries, I believe, all on our one campus. So one of our key strengths, in terms of particularly our location, is our location and our campus. So Brunel is based in London. We're not actually, when you think of London, I know you think of central London and the quite well-known tourist areas. Brunel is actually on the edge of London. I've got this very, if you've been to London before, it's a very familiar tube map, underground map. If you haven't been, then it looks like a lot of squiggly lines. But this is a kind of a representation of where we are in London. You can see we're based in a town called Uxbridge, which is right at the end of the line, 2 of the underground lines. So it's quite a unique location. It's quite rare for London universities to have actual campuses. As you can imagine, it's quite a congested city. So we're one of the very few universities that has a big, beautiful campus. So this is our campus here. As you can see, we have all your facilities in one area, all your accommodation, your lectures, your labs, your Starbucks, doctors, coffee, lunch, social areas, everything all in one place. So we're one of the few universities that can really give you a genuine, real UK campus experience, but also being in London, so you can get the best of your London life as well. And where we're based, you'll find that the living costs tend to be a little bit lower. So we do have a wide range of courses. Right now, we pretty much have a faculty in nearly all programs. Students from United States of America and North America in general often choose Brunel for our health programs, for our occupational therapy, for our physiotherapy, as well as our social sciences and business programs. Again, if there's any more questions for anything specific, please feel free to ask me at any point in the Q&A section for today. I think I'll leave it there and then pass on to the next person if that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Luis.
Next, we'll have if you could start your presentation for NYU, Abu Dhabi, and Shanghai.
Yes, of course. Give me 1 second. Okay. Good evening, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about both institutions, and I'm just going to be interchanging them. Please feel free to ask me any questions at the end. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to NYU Abu Dhabi and NYU Shanghai, but I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. Okay, and the titles from Pudong to Corniche, these are 2 memorable areas within Shanghai and Abu Dhabi. And I'm excited to tell you more about it. So I'm going to start with a little bit of an introduction about the cities because you might be unfamiliar with them. Starting with Abu Dhabi, I actually did grow up most of my life in Abu Dhabi. It's a very beautiful city. I'm based in New York City now. It's very unique in its sense. It's an extremely diverse city. It's also very, very safe. Located in the United Arab Emirates. It has a very unique demographic composition, as in that about 89% of the population is actually international or expats. So the locals of the population are actually a minority, which is very, very interesting. It's a very, very diverse area. There's a lot to explore. You're right next to Dubai, which you might have heard of. It's about 45 to an hour drive. There's a lot to do, from exploring different cuisines, different kinds of foods, different activities. And it's also extremely, extremely safe. So it's a really nice metropolitan city, and NYU Abu Dhabi happens to be located there. Moving on to Shanghai, this is another amazing metropolitan city located in China. It's also extremely safe. It's a very beautiful city. It has a population of about 30 million people, which is a lot of people, but it's evenly distributed, or more distributed that you won't really realize how populated it is, for example, compared to New York City. It has a very amazing, efficient and clean public transportation system, so you can get all around Shanghai very easily. It's also one of the more international cities in Shanghai, so you can utilize English as a language better. And more people speak English there than compared to other cities in Shanghai. And at NYU Shanghai, you would get to learn Mandarin, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Okay, so speaking about the campuses, so NYU Abu Dhabi and NYU Shanghai are both degree-granting campuses located in their respective cities. But as you can see, they're a little bit smaller than NYU. So the NYU New York campus, for example, has around 30,000 undergraduate students. Abu Dhabi has around 2,000 undergraduate students. It's an extremely diverse campus. There's over 125 countries represented on campus, and there's not really a majority population or a majority demographic within NYU Abu Dhabi. It's very beautiful. It's located in Saadiyat Island, and I'll tap into it a little bit later. And there's 26 undergraduate majors at NYU Abu Dhabi. As for Shanghai, similar number, 2,000 students. NYU Shanghai actually just opened a new campus. It's a full-on campus. It's very beautiful. A lot of different facilities. Previously, it was just a building similar to the New York campus, but now it's like a full-on, more traditional campus. And it's a very, very nice campus. It opened around January. So the demographic of Shanghai is a 50% Chinese nationals and 50% international students. And the international student body comes from over 70 countries from around the world, over 90 languages spoken. I believe from the US, we have around 37 states represented. So it's also a very diverse international student body. And this is what I was talking about. So as an NYU Shanghai student, you're not required to know Mandarin when you come in or be proficient in it or anything, but it is part of your core curriculum to learn Mandarin throughout the process at NYU Shanghai. And that's through different classes, that's through pairing up with a Chinese student and practicing it, going on day trips to places around China and practicing it. So by the time you graduate, you will be proficient in at least 2 languages, Mandarin, English, and whatever other language you might speak. Okay, so this is the location. This is NYU Abu Dhabi. It's located here in Saadiyat Island, and you can see Abu Dhabi is a very island-esque kind of city, and each island has a theme. So Saadiyat is a cultural theme, so you can see it's 5 minutes away from the Louvre, amazing museum. They're going to open the Guggenheim very soon. There's a cultural district. Yas Island is another island. It's like the parks, the recreational parks island. There's a lot of things to do there as well. And the beach is 5 minutes away, which is really, really cool. I always used to go there when I was a student, so it's a really nice plus. Shanghai is located within the Pudong district or the financial district. This is the campus right here, and you have a lot of things close to you. It's right near the river. A lot of our students like to walk around the river when they're walking from the dorms to campus. There are also shuttles available from the dorms to campus, so you don't have to walk all the way. And you also have access to a lot of the main metro stations, so you really have access to a lot of parts of the city through the public transportation system. And you can see here, there's like, you know, if you're feeling ever homesick, you can go to your Shake Shack or your Cheesecake Factory. They're right near campus, but there's also a lot of other food places or food areas that you can explore. Okay, and you know, as an NYU student, wherever you are around NYU, you are positioned to thrive. You can see that we're located in New York, Abu Dhabi, and Shanghai, but also around the world, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. But there's a lot for you to do, and we really want you to explore. We want you to be global. We want you to go around. To kind of like expand yourself beyond the classroom, and we're ready to provide the resource necessary for you to do that. And that's why NYU is such a global university, that, you know, we kind of like amplify that global impact, and we want you to utilize it as an NYU student. It is a non-traditional school. You know, we are very unique in that sense. And that's why when you come, please research us, look at our websites, look at our interests and our majors, and see if this is of interest to you, because it truly is a unique place. And I'm very grateful to have graduated from NYU. Okay, so delving a little bit into the academic program. So NYU Abu Dhabi has 26 majors, as you can see here. It's also a liberal arts program or liberal arts school. That means that you have a core curriculum that you will go through that is basically taking classes from different disciplines so that you have an idea about them in addition to your major. When you go in undecided. So you have up to 2 years to decide what you want. What you want as a major, and you can declare your major at the end of your sophomore year. So you can see here, there's majors in the social sciences, in the arts department, in the engineering, and in the sciences. And there's really a lot to explore. Personally, I majored in biology and I minored in Arab Crossroads Studies. Very beautiful experience. There's a lot of resources on your campus for you to utilize, and to explore whatever majors you want to explore. Similarly, NYU Shanghai is also a liberal arts school, so you do have a core curriculum. Mandarin is part of the core curriculum, but also other kind of areas of study that you would be, you would indulge in, and you would take at least one class in. When you come in as an NYU Shanghai student, you will be undecided as well, so you have time to decide what major you want. So by the end of your sophomore year, you'll be able to declare whatever major you want, and of course, minors. And yes, you can double major in both campuses as well, because I know I get this question a lot. For NYU Shanghai, there's 19 majors, and they also span across different disciplines. If you can notice here, the major names can be a little bit generic, and that's for a reason, because we want you to kind of form your own concentration. We want you to kind of form your own pathway through the major, through the classes you take, through the experiences you undergo. And then from there, you major or you specialize in whatever you want. So for example, you can major in social science, but really delve into political science or international studies. Okay, so when I said, that you're an NYU student no matter where you are, that's what I meant by this very beautiful map. So not only do we have our 3 degree granting campuses, but we have academic centers all around the world in which you can study away at. And as an NYULW student or an NYU Shanghai student, you get to study away in these places. Your financial aid travels with you. You don't have to worry about credits because you are studying at an NYU school. For NYU Shanghai, you are required to study away at least once. It's not a requirement for NYULW, but it's highly encouraged, and you will have all the resources you need to kind of like undergo through the process. I personally studied away in New York City. I also went to Florence, and I was able to go to India for a short program. It was really amazing. It was a really beautiful experience. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to let me know. These are our contacts for NYULW and for NYU Shanghai. If you have any questions, and I'm happy to answer any questions here as well. And I think I'm right on time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being able to talk about both schools. So I know you have a bit more of a lift today, but we would greatly appreciate it. Next, we're going to switch to Andre, who is representing Queen's University, Canada.
Okay, great. Just get a moment to set up here. Okay, that should be working now. So, all right, thank you everyone for joining me this evening. Like I said, my name is Andre. I'm the recruitment coordinator for Queen's University, and I'll be chatting with you tonight. So, a little bit about Queen's University. So, we are located in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. So, right in between Toronto, Ottawa, very close to Montreal as well. About a 2-hour drive from each, and about a 6.5-hour drive from New York City. So we're kind of in the middle of all the big cities, but we're a medium-sized town ourselves. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. So you get to live in a medium-sized school, but all the big cities are very, very accessible. We're on the main highway and the main train line as well. So very, very accessible school. We're right on Lake Ontario. So a little bit about us. So we are a top 10 school in Canada in the medical doctoral school division, which means we do have a grad school, law school, and medical school right on campus. So you're able to do your undergraduate degree and then to go right into a master's program or a professional program if you wish. We're about 12.5% international students, but we have a goal of reaching 15% by 2025. So at the moment, we're represented by 121 countries, and we have over 4,000 international students currently studying at Queen's. So brand new this year, we have the Queen's Commitment. So this is a commitment to all incoming international students, and we're really excited about this this commitment because for a number of reasons. The first of which is that there is a residence guarantee. So unfortunately, at the moment, there's a bit of a housing crunch in Kingston, and we had to get rid of our guarantee for all first-year incoming students, but we were able to keep it for all first-year incoming international students. So actually, regardless of your citizenship, as long as you're applying from an international school, you will have residence guaranteed for your first year. In addition to that, we'll be helping you with your pre-arrival support, helping you with your study permits, as well as providing dedicated academic advising to all of our international students and helping you, if you wish to pursue a career in Canada after graduation, with your post-graduation work permit program application. So we'll be supporting you with that as well. So that is our commitment to all incoming international students. All right, so a little bit about us. I said that Kingston's a medium-sized town. We're also a medium-sized school by Canadian standards, so about 20,000 undergraduate students. And we have a number of different programs. So we're a comprehensive university, but I would say we're well known for our Smith School of Business, our Health Sciences program, as well as our engineering program. But we do have all the program offerings of a larger institution. So I'll quickly touch on all the different faculties, and we can move on. But so our largest faculties are Faculty of Arts and Science. And this is where we're kind of like some American schools in the fact that you're applying generally to the Faculty of Arts and Science. You're doing a general first year, and then going into second year, that's when you're declaring your major. So it's really great for those students who may not know what they want to do right out of the gate. They can come in, take an economics class, a biology class, maybe a history or a classics course, and then going into second year, that's when you declare your major. Then next we have our Smith School of Business. Like I said, it's one of our more popular, well-known programs. So Smith is a global brand. It's well known in the States. We have lots of alumni working on Wall Street, working in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley, and working kind of in the Houston area in the oil business. So lots of demand for our business school graduates. We have almost a 99% hiring rate upon graduation, and a couple of highlights of the program. So it's kind of it's more general program, so you kind of get a strong foundation in everything business. In addition to that, majority of the class, up to 80%, go on exchange in third year. So it's a very kind of key component of the program, and we send our students all over the world, and we welcome to campus a cohort of international exchange students to campus. It's a really kind of a unique aspect of the program. Next, we have Health Sciences. So this is a program kind of tailor-made for those students who are looking to go into the medical field, whether that be medicine, veterinary, dentistry, really open-ended, and it really prepares our students very well for life after graduation. Finally, we have our Faculty of Engineering and Applied Science and our Faculty of Education. So quickly, actually, our Engineering and Applied Science just recently received a $100 million grant from a famous alum. So we're really happy about this new partnership. So it's actually being rebranded as the Smith School of Engineering and Applied Science. And we don't have any plans yet what to do with the money, but obviously $100 million is a very large amount of money, and we foresee this kind of catapulting our engineering program up the rankings and becoming one of the top engineering schools in Canada, if not the world. So quickly, I'll talk to you about our internship program. So many schools in Canada have co-op programs, but this is kind of our version of that. So it's a 12 to 16 month paid internship program, and we think it's a better fit for students as opposed to the co-op program, which has students working kind of on and off, 3 months on, 4 months on, and then coming back to campus and then going back to their jobs. And it really kind of it puts a lot of like stress on the student going back and forth, and really who's going to let you like rent a place for 3 to 4 months? You're really kind of contained to the city that your school is in. Whereas if you know you're going away for a year, it really opens up a lot of doors for you, and you can go kind of all over Canada. We've even had some of our students kind of go abroad, and the internship program is completely set up by our career services. So a lot of the heavy lifting is done by us, and the student just has to kind of apply to the internships, but they don't have to go out and find their own or anything like that. There's an internal job board, and it's all posted. And we help the student kind of through the process, as well as prepare for the interview and tailor their resume, etc. So lots of support for students who choose to go and do this internship process. So just kind of an overview of some of our partners. As you can see, some very, very well-known companies and brands, and both large and small. So you can see kind of the Queen's University logo there. We've hired students in the past to work in our admissions office, but as you can see, people have gone on to work for NASA and Google and Tesla. So another, I know that coming to Queen's, you'd be going abroad, but if you want to go abroad another time, generally this is done in third year, and we have lots of different exchange partners all over the world. So you can really go anywhere from Europe to Australia, New Zealand, anywhere in South America, and Asia, Africa. We have kind of exchange partners all over the world, and it really depends on the faculty that you're in. But generally, this is, these international exchange opportunities are done in your third year. So, like I said, we're right on Lake Ontario. This is a brief overview or aerial view of the campus. Looks quite large, but you can actually walk the whole thing in about 15 minutes. Good mix of old and new buildings, some brand new sports facilities as well. So very, very connected, tight-knit campus. We are not a commuter school, so everyone is essentially living and learning on campus, whether that's in the dorms, on-campus housing, or off-campus housing, which is about a 5-minute walk away. And then in the distance, you can see the downtown core, which is a further 10-minute walk away. So very, very connected campus and city. So this is a couple scenes of downtown Kingston. Really great, really student-friendly town. Some of the most restaurants per capita of any town in Canada. So lots to do, lots going on, and just kind of really great town to be a student in. I like to kind of say it's kind of like being in a student bubble. When you go out to eat, go out to hang out downtown, you're kind of surrounded by students, and it's really, really your town. We very much miss the students when they're away for the summer, and the town really evolves around our Queen's students. Finally, very briefly, we do have lots of ways to get involved on campus. I would say that, the types of students that we tend to attract are students that are very, very involved in their high schools, whether that be through athletics or student council or clubs. So lots of ways to continue to do that. Once you get to Queen's, we have a very, very dedicated, very involved student body. And whether that be, again, clubs, athletics, lots of ways to get involved on campus. So we have both on-campus and off-campus housing. Like I mentioned, on-campus housing will be guaranteed for all first-year incoming international students. So you'll have access to one of our 17 different residence buildings. And after that, generally speaking, majority of students do move off campus. Again, it's anywhere from a 5-minute to a 20-minute walk away. And that's generally done by students living in second, third, and fourth year. But we do offer some upper year residence buildings, although it's not as common. So we do have some international awards and scholarships available. Depends on the faculty, but these can range anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to $25,000, and they are renewable every year. So you can theoretically earn up to $100,000 towards your degree. We have a group of international ambassadors that I'll quickly mention, and one of which actually went to Berkeley Carroll. So if you do want to connect with her and get her kind of firsthand experience about moving from the Brooklyn area to attend Queen's, she's more than willing and happy to meet with you and chat with you about her experiences. Please connect with us, and I'll share my contact info with the host as well. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And next we have Diana from Trinity College, Dublin. Diana, if you're speaking, you're on mute, just a heads up.
Sorry about that. I was trying to set up my presentation. I'm here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. Everything went away when I first tried to set up my presentation, but thank you for being here. Again, my name is Diana Yaruro, and I'm one of the 5 North American representatives, and I'm here with Trinity. If you ever do a Google search for us, if you're not familiar with us, one of the first pictures that are going to come up is of these. This is the old library, and we get about 1 million tourists every year coming to see it. Aside from being a gorgeous library is also home of the Book of Kells, which is a manuscript from the Bible from the 9th century, and Trinity has the original copy. I always like to tell that because it gives you an idea of the amount of history that you're going to encounter at Trinity. Aside from the library, we were also founded in 1592 by Queen Elizabeth I. So again, going back to the historical factor. Now we're also the #1 university in Ireland and 81 in the world. We have about 18,000 students, and out of that number, 34% are international students from 125 different countries. We're 16 most international universities in the world and 91 in the world for graduate employability. That white box that you're seeing there are the programs in which we are in the top 100. From those programs, the most popular among American students are the biological sciences, English, which we are 22 in the world, history, law, modern languages, but usually pair with something else. So a modern language and business, law, and a modern language. And then also psychology and politics. We are located right in the heart of Dublin City. So you're seeing here, this is where we're located. We're close to many different tourist attractions, such as the St. Patrick's Cathedral, the Dublin Castle, St. Stephen's Green. Those little green dots that you're seeing and the red ones, that represents public transportation. So it's very easy for students to commute from school. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Dublin. Let me just go back to this slide. So why Dublin? Dublin is UNESCO City of Literature. We're also a global tech hub, meaning that many technological companies have migrated to Dublin, and they are located in an area of the city. If you see this little bubble here, that's where they're located. So Dublin is becoming known as the Silicon Valley of Europe because of these. And I mention this because many students would like to do internships and find jobs, and you are so close to these areas where you can do so, and they seek out our students. We are divided into 3 faculties and 24 schools. We have the arts, humanities, and social sciences. We have the health sciences and the engineering, mathematics, and sciences faculty. Aside from that, we also have a partnership with Columbia University, where students can spend the first 2 years at Trinity, and they can transfer to New York and finish the last 2 years there. When they graduate, they will, the students will have a degree from each university. So essentially, they're graduating from 2 of the top universities in the world. The programs that you're seeing are the only ones that are available for the dual BA. And from those, the most popular among American students are the English, history, and the film studies. And for the STEM, the most popular one is the biological and biomedical sciences with a focus on neuroscience. We have lots of support for students. Once a student begins, there will be assigned a personal tutor, which is essentially a counselor, but they play a role of the support system. So students will be able to count on this person for anything that they need. The personal tutor is usually a professor in their field of study, and they are there for the support of the students. Aside from that, we have health services, we have disability services, we have academic support. We also have programs such as the peer support, which is where we pair students, an Irish student with an international student, to help them kind of adjust to the country and the culture. We have 120 different societies and 50 sports clubs. Students can sign up for these every semester and sign up for as many as they want. These are some of the examples of the clubs and societies that we offer. As far as accommodations, we do have some accommodations on campus, but those are usually given to PhD students. So most first-year students will stay either at Trinity Hall or Kavanaugh Core, and these are located near campus, not on campus. Trinity Hall is located about 15 minutes away via the train. And then the other complexes that we work with, they are located about 15-minute walk from to campus. Every first-year students will have housing that first year, and then the second year they do have to find housing on their own, but we will be there to support them. This is just an example of what Trinity Hall looks like. So it's a room with a bathroom, and they'll have their desk, their bedroom, the closet, all the necessities. Aside from that, Trinity Hall will have a gym, laundry room, 24-hour security. We have a convenience store on site. So it's a really nice place. The last thing I want to mention is our alumni. We're well known for our alumni, and you might know some of the ones here. One of the most famous one is Oscar Wilde. He was a poet and a writer and a playwright. Jonathan Swift, he wrote Gulliver's Travels. Bram Stoker, he wrote Dracula. If there's anyone here who's a fan of Game of Thrones, you might remember King Joffrey. He was played by Jack Leeson, and he is an alumni of Trinity. And more recent graduate is Sally Rooney. She wrote Conversations with Friends and Normal People. Both became shows. You can see them on Hulu, and actually Normal People was filmed on campus, so you get to see different areas of campus. We also have Mayor Robinson. She was the first female president of Ireland. Samuel Beckett, another writer. So this is why Dublin is UNESCO City of Literature. As you can see, many writers are from Dublin, and many graduated from Trinity. And I am really looking forward to answering any questions. Please reach out in the chat, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana. And last but not least, we have Ivar.
Yeah, good evening, folks. As I was saying, great to be with you. Hope you can all understand me okay. I'm going to be speaking at 100 miles an hour. And rather than do a PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to let you go and do your own research and do a quick Google search, and you can see exactly just how stunning the campus and the University of St Andrews is. So I'm going to tell you a bit about the university, a bit of the history, a bit about the degree structure and entry requirements and so on, and maybe a little bit about the tradition as well. I'm going to pack that into a good 5 minutes. So here we go. Strap in and get ready. I'm a graduate of the University of St Andrews, and so I do speak from personal experience about just what a very special university it is. When you're looking at University of St Andrews, we were founded in 1413. So this is the oldest university in Scotland and the third oldest university in the English-speaking world. So if you just think about 600 years of history, in terms of our spirit and where we come from, it comes from that longevity and all that history and everything that's happened over those centuries, all those alumni and people that have gone on to great and wonderful things, really sets the scene for who we are as an institution. We are a global institution, although we're very Scottish, and you're going to see a lot of kilts and you're going to hear a lot of people speaking like me there. Only 26% of the student population is from Scotland. Over 40% are coming from overseas, and America is the biggest international population. Around about 20% of our population is coming from the US. So this is a very well-trodden path. New York City is the #1 location for students coming to us. So even though we're in a medieval town, we are attracting students from the metropolis of New York City. Second is California, and then you're looking at Massachusetts, Connecticut, and then Texas, the top 5 coming from the US. But we don't just take students from the US. Europe is a big contributor as well, around about 12% coming from across Europe, and then indeed right over to Asia and elsewhere as well. So An ancient university, a global university, but one of the world's leading universities. We are currently ranked #1 in the UK. We're the first university to knock Oxford and Cambridge off of the top spot. We did that 2 years ago, and then we did it again this year. So you might have heard about the term Oxbridge. The newspaper started talking about Stocksbridge. So we were very, very proud when we heard that Cambridge had changed their marketing to say that they were in the top 3 in the world. So I'm saying that with a bit of a wry smile and a wink to my colleagues at Cambridge. Rankings are not divine, but we're very proud to be #1, and it's a good indication of just how well the university is doing as recently. If you look at Google, you're going to see, as I say, a beautiful medieval town perched right on the east coast of Scotland. We're 1 hour journey from Edinburgh, the capital city. Chariots of Fire, if you've ever, your parents or grandparents perhaps have seen that old but classic movie, the opening sequence where running along the beach, that's in St Andrews. This, of course, is the home of golf. Golf was invented in St Andrews. The Open, sometimes called the British Open, is held there every 5 years. So when you hear the word 4, you know you've got to duck as you're walking to class. So it is a town made up of golfers, tourists, and academics. So about 1 in 3 people in a town are connected to the university, but the student population is 10,000. So in terms of our degree structure, we are not a liberal arts university, but we are a 4-year degree option, and that's why a lot of Americans like to look at us when they're moving to look to study overseas. So we're a 4-year institution, but we offer breadth and flexibility. You study 3 subjects in your first year, 3 traditionally in your second year, and then you narrow it down to 1 or 2 in your third and fourth year. So there's a lot of flexibility. Actually, around about 40% of our students come in doing 1 degree and leave doing another. So that flexibility plus the breadth really makes us an interesting option. We're not liberal arts, but we're also not like the English model, where Harun, if had more time to talk to you, would maybe talk about that degree system down there. So England is traditionally a 3-year degree system. There are variations to that, but in Scotland we're 4. So that's quite an important point, just to note the difference between Scotland and England, in particular in the UK. In terms of entry requirements, we are happy to accept students that are not presenting with the AP, but we are looking for an equivalent standard to the AP on a transcript, and we'll look at that very closely in terms of the school profile. In recent years, due to the pandemic, we've gone test optional, so you can still present with the SAT or the ACT, or indeed AP, as I say, but we will review your transcript and accept an application to be reviewed without those tests. I would recommend, if you get the chance to do them, it's no bad thing to add that little bit extra evidence to your academic rigor. Going to finish just quickly, and then I know we're going to turn to questions, but just in terms of that 600 years of history, just to give you an idea about some of the tradition. The red scarlet gown came in the 1700s and is traditionally worn by students, and you'll see students walking around, and if you can see my collar, they're wearing a different style depending on what year they're in. And they call it the academic striptease, as they slowly lose their red gown of ignorance and graduate at the end of it. So in first year, you see all the students walking around with this red gown flowing out behind them, up around their collar. Second year, in the arts faculty, they wear it off their left shoulder, and they say that because the arts, the humanities, are close to the heart. Science faculty, it's off the right shoulder, because they say scientists are always right. And third year, it's down off both shoulders, and fourth year, it's onto the elbows. And you'll see students walking along, dragging this beautiful red scarlet gown across the ground. And this is them as they're close to graduating, and they lose the red gown and then adorn the gown, the black gown. So anyway, that's one of the traditions. The other tradition is the academic family system, where first year students are adopted by third and fourth year students. And they can be friends, confidants, guides, mentors, you name it. But it all ties into the very famous shaving foam fight. So if you put in University of St Andrews shaving foam fight into Google, you'll see what I'm talking about. About 1,000 students having a massive shaving foam fight in a 500-year-old quadrangle. And it's not Greek life. We don't have Greek life, but it is the whole university coming out to support the first year cohort. And I don't know of any other institution that does that to this extent. It really is an endearing process, and it is almost a rite of passage as you, into month 2 of your studies there, are going through the same process of all those students that have gone before. Admittedly, for those that are still awake, They didn't have shaving foam a few hundred years ago, so it used to be that students were dunked in the town fountain. But you'll be glad to know that's gone, and now they just have a big shaving foam fight. But seriously, this is a very serious academic institution. We're looking for top academic students with strong academic rigor. It is a competitive university. We do recommend early application. Maybe we'll go into a bit later on. But if you are interested, please do get in touch. As I say, go into Google or your browser of choice and check out some of the images about the University of St Andrews. But thanks very much for listening. Hopefully you understood me okay. And I'll pass back to Lewis. Thanks, Lewis.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to get started with just kind of having an open panel. So for any attendees that are in the session, feel free to start generating some questions in the Q&A portion, but I will get us started asking questions to the panel. So if I could actually have all of our panelists turn their cameras on, and we'll get started. Some of you have talked about this, some of you have not. So I'll start by asking the first question. How does a student apply to your college or school, and what are the key differences compared to applying to the school in the US? So I would say important things are like what international requirements are necessary, what application do you use, and any other pertinent information that is specific to your school.
I can start with this one. So for our university, for students coming from the States, generally there's two methods of applying. One is via a system known as UCAS, which I'm sure everybody's quite familiar with, which gives you the ability to apply to up to 5 universities in the first instance to the UK. Here at Brunel, we also accept applications via Common App as well. The only thing to note here is we aren't able to accept students who are using both systems. So if you're in UCAS, you won't be able to use Common App for the university. And if you're applying via Common App to the university, then we won't be able to accept a UCAS application from you as well. Other than that, it's a very straightforward application. We'll be looking at your highest qualification, and we'll also be looking at what's known as a personal statement or a statement of interest. I know most students here will have wonderful guidance counselors who will support them in writing that personal statement as well. But for us, these are the first two things. And yeah, so the methods of applying would be UCAS or Common App.
I can go next. Okay, okay. So for Trinity, you would apply on our website. We are not on the Common App or the UCAS. And one of the biggest difference from US universities that we do not have general education courses, so students will be declaring their major right away. So they are applying into the program of study, not the school as a whole. As far as requirements, this really depends on the program of study. Some programs of study have higher GPAs than others. Aside from that, students will need to submit 2 letters of recommendation, a personal statement, and this year we are test optional, so you do not have to submit the SATs or ACTs if you don't want to, but if you do, I recommend that you submit the minimum requirement for the GPA or the SATs. I was gonna send a link, but I don't think I can. So I'll just email Lewis a link to our brochure so he can send it to everyone else and you can see the requirements for the program that you're interested in.
I can briefly talk about NYU, Shanghai, and Abu Dhabi. So it's the same application for NYU. It's through the Common App. Everything is the same. You just have to indicate your campus of interest on the Common application. So you would indicate your primary campus, your second, your third, if you're interested in putting a second and a third. But everything else is the same. So your self-reported academic record is required, at least 1 letter of recommendation. For this year, we're also test optional, and we're very flexible with our testing. So if you want to submit a standardized test, you can look over our website and you can submit whatever, whether it's AP, SAT, ACT, IB, A-levels, and that's pretty much it. And then you will go through the process.
I can go next. So for Queen's University, for all Ontario universities, we're on the Ontario University Application Center, or we're on the Common App. So either one will accept. It's great. But the application process for us is very straightforward. So we're test optional. There's no personal statement, no essays, no letters of recommendation, anything like that. It's essentially just grades, except for our commerce, health science, and nursing programs. Those have a supplementary application process, and it's just a short essay response and a short video response, but only for those programs. Every other program is just kind of your grades are what we are assessing.
Yeah, and I'll just add to what I was saying in my presentation, that we are on the Common App, so you can apply through the Common App if you like. Otherwise, UCAS, same as Haroon was saying, and we've also got our own St Andrews Direct application. So there's kind of 3 options to choose from. There's not one that's kind of preferred over the other. It's just really whatever route's best for you. I would recommend early application, and by early, I would say sort of by the end of October, first week of November. As long as that's in line with the school's requirements and so on. So if you are thinking about applying to St Andrews, get your application in early. We are test optional. If you're presenting with the ACT, you're looking at around about 28 to 30 minimum, not a guarantee of entry, but a minimum, and an SAT of about 1350 as a minimum. You know, anything below that, you know, you should really be questioning putting the application in, just due to the competitive nature of admissions. But yeah, we hope to get an application turned around in around about 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes you can be waitlisted and it can take a few months. But if you do apply and you want to know where your application's at, please feel free to get in touch, and we can at least give you an appraisal of what stage it's at, in case that's helpful.
Awesome. We had a question that was in the chat that was asking about enrollment criteria and testing requirements for each school. I think most of the schools have touched on that, or it's going to be case by case depending on the major that the student is applying for or the institution that the student is applying for. So I would say that that's probably better to do more research based off what it is that your student is looking at, because it's going to vary institution to institution, or at the same institution major from major to major. Our second question that we have is, some of you touched on this, but if we could just kind of get a group consensus. How easy or challenging is it for a student to change their major, and are there any implications for doing so at your institution?
I can start with that question. As far as Trinity goes, it is case by case. It is not impossible to change majors, but it is difficult. And again, it depends on how big of the change will be, because we don't have the general education courses like in the US, where at the beginning you can be undecided, right? Everything's going to be very specific from the beginning. So depending on how big of the change is, you might have to start from the beginning, so from year 1. So let's say, for example, you start in an English major, and then you decide, I want to do biological and biomedical sciences. As you can see, there's a big change. In that case, if they allow you to change, you're probably going to have to start from year 1. If you are in engineering, for example, and then you decide, I don't want to do mechanical engineering, I want to do civil engineering, then that might be an easier change. For the change, you would have to speak with your personal tutor. I spoke about that. This is your advisor for, and they will also talk to academic register, which is the admissions office, about this, and they'll let you know. So it really depends.
I can go next. So for us, it's really faculty dependent. So within your faculty, especially the Faculty of Arts and Science, it's pretty easy to switch. So if you're in the arts side, pretty much any kind of arts program, it'd be pretty straightforward to switch. It's kind of called a plan change. And same with science. The only ever time you get kind of an issue is terms of switching faculties. So if you were to go from, let's say, Faculty of Arts and Science, the economics program, and try to switch into the Smith School of Business, generally that's pretty hard to do because there's not a lot of upper year space involved. It's generally due to spacing and less to do with the kind of classes you've taken. We kind of have the prerequisites rather listed on the website. So as long as you have those, you should be technically eligible to transfer. It's just whether there's enough spaces and how many other people are trying to transfer. So within the faculty, easy. If you're switching faculties, it can be challenging.
I can go next. So sorry, I think I may have jumped in there. It's quite similar. So at Brunel, it is quite difficult to change. Once you have started your program, you find quite quickly you're falling into assignments and courseworks and testing. So we generally don't encourage it. The only opportunity is where students have chosen particular specialisms. So you're doing biomedical sciences, and we have 4 different specialisms, which you tend to do in your final year. So in them cases, it would be possible to change, but in a course without a final year specialism, it would actually be quite difficult. So it's something we don't really encourage.
I did touch upon so you do come in undecided, so we're pretty flexible with major change. In the case that 2 years passed, you declared your major and you want to change, that is still possible. It just depends on your academic record, and you just need to meet with your advisor. You probably would have to overload or take extra classes, but it's not impossible. Unless it was to, if you're from theater to engineering, it would be a lot of load for you to take on. But it shouldn't be too difficult within both NYW and Shanghai.
Yeah, and just quickly, just as I was saying in the presentation, around about 40% of students come in and actually leave doing a different degree. So at St Andrews and in the Scottish system, it is very common for students to do that. And actually, it's what our degree structure is built on, is that exploratory nature of taking a range of subjects in your first year and then really narrowing that down in the 3rd and 4th year. So obviously, if you apply for a subject and your heart's set on that, then many students do still stick with that all the way through and just do other subjects as interest subjects. But certainly it's very common, and we fully support that if students choose to. You can't switch to anything that you want at any given time. There are always caveats, but generally speaking, very common.
Thank you so much. So we have a question in the Q&A feature that says, if you could share what tuition is at your school, does it vary according to subject, and what types of financial aid are available for U.S. international students to try to subsidize that cost?
I can go. For Trinity, depends on the program of study, but an average will be about $50,000 a year, and that is including the cost of living. Usually the most expensive programs are the sciences, and that is because those have lab fees. As far as financial aid, there are some program scholarships that are program specific. So the business department, for example, has scholarships. Some of the business program, I already mentioned business, I'm sorry, the science programs. Once the student has been accepted into Trinity, you can apply for the Global Excellence, which is with my department, it is usually 5,000 euros that are deducted from tuition of that first year. You also can apply for the Education in Ireland scholarship. And then in year 2, all students, international and non-EU students, can apply for the foundation scholarship, which is based on academics. So you will have to take an exam. The exam will be based on your program of study, but students that are international students that are selected into that scholarship will have their fees reduced to EU fees, and they'll pay for housing and meals for the rest of the time that you're with us. And the last thing I want to mention is that you can use your FAFSA, but they're only going to allow you to use student loans for international schools. At least for Trinity, they will only allow you to use the student loans.
I can talk a little bit about NYU. So for us, the tuition does vary per school. It changes a little bit. I think it's around the 63 to 66,000 per year. It's a lot. So we do encourage that you apply for financial aid. It is available. And for both schools, you would apply through the CSS profile, which is a profile on College Board. The deadline to apply is typically 15 days after the admissions deadline. It is a very strict deadline. So we do please recommend that you apply on time, or you would not be considered for aid. So Shanghai does offer some merit-based scholarships as well as Abu Dhabi. So to be considered for that, you should apply for financial aid. And the financial aid offices do try to provide based on your need as much as they can. And that includes your tuition, your meals, the board, all of it. So that's how they basically count the financial aid. If you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, we do encourage to apply for the FAFSA as well to be considered for federal aid for NYU Shanghai. NYU does not accept FAFSA, but you can still apply through the CSS profile.
Yeah, I'll just come in. I was just typing there just because obviously a lot of information, just so you're aware. So our tuition is £30,000 sterling currently. Now that doesn't include accommodation. Accommodation is guaranteed for year one, and you're looking at a range between £6,000 sterling and about £11,000 sterling, depending which accommodation style you go for, ensuite facility or private residency or whatever it might be. So tuition is just for that, as it says, tuition at 30,000, and then you've got accommodation, living expenses on top of that. So you're probably in the region of, 45,000 pounds sterling by the end of it. There is option for applying for US federal loan and transferring that to St Andrews. We have a number of scholarships available as well, including full ride scholarship and so on. So if you're lucky enough to be awarded that, then obviously that can help. But yeah, do have a look at our website on the scholarship section. It's really, really clear and helpful in terms of dates and deadlines and so on and so forth.
I can go next. So for Queens, we're on average about $55,000, but that is Canadian. So you're looking at about a 30% discount with the strong American dollar. So we do have some programs like engineering that are up there with like $60,000, but health sciences would be around $35,000. Taking into account kind of first year meal plan, accommodations and books, you're looking at another $20,000. So on average, about $75,000 all in. We do participate in the William D. Ford student loan program, and you can also apply for FAFSA as well. Yeah, and we do have some international scholarships, like I mentioned in my presentation. So those range, depending on the faculty, anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to $25,000, and they are renewable every 4 years, or every year rather, for the 4 years.
I think I can go to finish off. So in terms of our tuition fee range, we have 3 tiers. So it starts from around about 20,000 British pound sterling, and for the lowest tier, and then it goes up to 27,000. And then we have our medical program, which is currently at 47,000. So that's our different tiering. In terms of funding options, we accept the students with the federal loan and the FAFSA. We also have a wide range of scholarships available for students coming in for a range of courses, and a general undergraduate scholarship students can apply for. It all starts with an offer. So once you have your offer, the university will send everything that's relevant to you and everything that every scholarship that you can apply for.
Thank you. We have another question in the chat that says, for EU schools, is there a difference in tuition if the student is an EU citizen but not an EU resident?
I'll maybe jump in, but sadly, folks, post-Brexit, EU is now overseas along with the US and so on. So even if you're an EU resident or an EU citizen but living in the US, you're going to probably be overseas for fee-paying purposes. There are other factors that can play a part. So if you have got a bit of a more complicated background, I wouldn't exclusively say that. There are ways you can still achieve the RUK, what we call the rest of the UK fee status, or indeed the Home Scots fee status. But if you're just an EU resident or an EU citizen living in the US, then you're probably going to be overseas from St Andrews' point of view.
So we have about 7 minutes left. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. I know St. Andrews touched on this a bit, but I just wanted to open it up for all the other schools. What special traditions or popular student experiences make your campus unique?
I can go. For Trinity, we have the annual Trinity Ball, which is one of the largest private music events in Europe. Think of it like a prom where everyone gets dressed up and a prom and a concert together. We do that every year. We also have the annual lighting of the Christmas tree. There's some of the future dishes that we have on campus.
I think I may have touched on it briefly during the presentation, but I mean, we are an actual campus-based university in London, which, as I mentioned, is quite rare. So you do have a very campus feel and a very campus environment. So we have over 100 different societies and clubs on campus that students can be part of. It's an incredibly diverse university as well. So you find lots of clubs and nationalities as well. So you can really make friends from around the world. It's also quite a sports heavy university. We have an Olympic standard athletics track and sports equipment. Usain Bolt himself used to train on campus many years ago. So I think these are some of our strongest areas in terms of the social environment.
For the NYUs, there's a lot. We have a lot of like different traditions. For Abu Dhabi, so we have a lot of like identity-based groups. So we have the Latino Club. They host like the famous Latino night. It's very, very everyone comes at it. It's very fun. A lot of partying and good music, and also getting a chance for students to explore different cultures within South America or Latin America. We have Arab Culture Night. There's a lot of identity-based nights that are very famous on campus, and a lot of students come to it. There's midnight breakfast, where the dining halls open at 12 a.m. and then there's just like a lot of partying and a lot of like breakfast food. And students love to kind of go there. And NYU is also still creating its own traditions more and more. For Shanghai, similar. There's a lot of also identity-based events. Because we have such diverse student bodies, they like to bring their cultures on campus, and a lot of people get to learn from, you know, with other cultures, which is really, really fun and really entertaining to see. We have the Dumpling Festival on Shanghai campus, the Strawberry Festival, which are kind of like week-long or like multiple day-long festivals with a lot of different events and activities.
So for Queens, I like to call us kind of America Light. So we have a lot of traditions, a lot of sports, but just not kind of on the same scale you'd have at like the University of Michigan or Alabama or anything like that. But in terms of Canadian schools, I'd say we're kind of up there in terms of kind of school spirit. Like I mentioned, that's the type of student that we tend to attract. So students that are very involved in the community. So we're not like a commuter school. So it really adds to the kind of the campus feel, the campus community. So we don't have Greek life on campus, but we do have kind of the societies that are related to the faculties. So lots of traditions within the engineering faculty where they'll dye their jackets purple, they'll dye themselves purple. There's lots of kind of little traditions that go along with that. Sports are very big on campus, so lots of football games. Students tend to go a lot in the fall. We did host the national championships this past year, and we'll be hosting them again this year as well. And a lot of clubs on campus as well. So some of the most clubs per capita of any university in Canada. So lots of campus life going on, and lots of traditions. But again, we're kind of within the faculties and within the different societies that are associated with the faculties.
Perfect. And then our last question that we have in the chat is for you, Queen's University. If a student is a dual US Canadian citizen, is there a preference on how to apply, whether that's international United States versus Canadian?
No, we have no preference whether it's Common App or UAC. I'll just say that if you are applying to, let's say, Western and University of Toronto and Queens, I'd probably go the OUAC route because you'll save some money, but we have no preference.
Perfect. Awesome. So I want to thank you all so very, very much on behalf of Berkeley Carroll, Packard Collegiate, St. Anne's, and Brooklyn Friends for taking the time to come and speak with our families today and let us know a little bit more about your institutions and international admissions. I also want to thank the two representatives that are in Europe right now on an extreme time difference. We greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure that you'll be seeing some families that are interested, and we'll make sure to connect them with you if they have any additional questions. But I want to thank you all. And I hope that everyone, including our panelists and our audience, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Did we lose Joelle and Carolyn? There they are. All right.
Hello. Hello, I'm here. Great job, Lutz. Wait, are we still recording?
Oh,
Yes.
sure. Stop.